I would take a step toward God and then he would kind of move things a bit, like the rider guiding the horse type of situation. But really for me, what it felt like was responding to a love. And the more I responded, the deeper and more felt it became. So it's a nice rider of the horse. My name is Michael Brazda, and I was received into the church on July 16th, 2025. I was raised or baptized Greek Orthodox, but I was really raised Protestant, although we would sometimes go to Catholic church and sometimes Orthodox church. So I was really raised confused, that denomination. But I was really a Protestant who was Orthodox and just didn't know it. I went through several Protestant denominations, and I always felt just something wasn't sitting right. So I, in college, lost my faith, and many years went by, and then God showed back up into my life in a very direct and powerful way, and I was like, whoa, Jesus Christ is who he says he is. And so because of that, I knew immediately a lot of what I did need to change. But the first thing, like the first place I landed as a newly convicted Christian was very far, like 180 degrees away from Catholicism. It was Calvinism. And so when I would be in these places and connecting, maybe there'd be aspects of it that I liked, but ultimately I could feel my heart being tugged slightly differently or yearning for more. Going through that whole experience, I wouldn't have said it like this in the beginning, but it was responding to love and the feeling of love. And then I'm like, well, what does that mean and where does that leave me? And so coming from my background of having been outside the church, I had a lot of things that I was working through, and I was struggling with these really intense vices, and I wanted to master them. I did my first confession, and that was this mind-blowing experience. I did this at the Greek Orthodox Church. I finally felt like I had something which would help me kind of heal and grow. It was just a feeling I had never felt in my whole life before, and I didn't really have words for it then. I just knew it was just the light, and I just needed to go toward it. And so then at that point, I was feeling my heart was restless in the Greek Orthodox, and I already had felt called to Catholicism. I was just kind of like for heritage reasons, because I have Greek blood and I was baptized as an infant into Greek Orthodoxy. I was like, if I am gonna change, I should see what I'm leaving. I should fully get to know it. It's in my genes, 2,000 years ago, Aristotle. Like, that's pretty sweet. That's really what was driving the 9 months I spent immersed in the Orthodox Church. I was just starting, so I wasn't like deep in the sacramental life, I would say, but I was doing what people do and trying to engage fully as best I could. But also I was engaged in the cultural side of Orthodoxy, which really kind of centers around dancing. So I went through this period of kind of intense immersion, sacramentally, but also culturally. Having gone through that immersion, there was this one night, probably after our first dance, where I told our teacher, I was like, you know what? Being with the Greeks in the Greek American culture, I was like, oh, so I felt this kind of deep, like on the blood level connection. I was like, this is cool. So then, snapping back, when I made the decision to become Catholic, I felt I'm really giving something up that is mine. When I was looking at my baptismal certificate, it really hit me, this feeling of what I'm leaving and what I'm giving up. And then I prayed to Our Lady, because I felt convicted it was the right thing to do. Like, help me, like, just make this final leap. And she did, and I did, and here I am. One day, when I was feeling this restlessness with my Orthodox experience, I showed up for an 8 a.m. Mass, and the rest is history. Daily adoration, daily confession, with the pastors there and with all the sacraments and just the full kind of beautiful offering of the church there, I was able to find what I was looking for. Once I actually came into the church, it was not with everybody else in that same ceremony during the Easter Vigil, because that is for folks who have no sacraments or are completing their sacraments. So what they did for me was arrange a separate ceremony. What the ceremony actually looked like, it was kind of cool. Not kind of, it was the best day of my life. It was really cool. They had an Eastern Rite Catholic priest. There were also 2 Roman Catholic priests up there, the 2 of the priests from Church of the Good Shepherd. But the one who needed to be there was the Eastern Rite priest. And I needed to recite the creed, the Nicene Creed, in front of a group of people. So profess my faith to the body of Christ. And because I'm coming from the Orthodox Church, I am Eastern Rite, as opposed to Roman Rite or all the other ones. And I was like, it's kind of cool that I'm Eastern Rite, because it is my blood. In a word, I would say I feel whole for the first time in my life. It's the best feeling in the world. In a way, I feel like I've been in a room and there's been no lights and I've had a flashlight. And I've been trying to like figure out where things are. Is that a couch? Is that a chair? But coming into the church, it's like the lights go on and I can see where everything is. And so relating that back to me, it's like my perspective on myself, my feelings, my thoughts, other people. I'm able to just process and relate to people kind of in an integral way. And I also feel like I can love other people authentically in a complete way for the first time, and without kind of asking something from them. I mean, not like I'm perfect or something. I just mean I feel this shift in my ability to like relate and love to people. And because I feel whole, I guess I'm not looking for other people or things to try to fill some incompleteness. And I know that's kind of like metaphorical and abstract a bit, but that's what I meant. Like it's simple, but also just very foundational to how I process and experience the world. And so it's just joyful and awesome.